Right, so here is the full plan with all the practical advice that you're gonna need to draw twice as fast without even having to try. You have to promise me something though. You have to follow everything that I tell you in this video, even if it's not the easy fix that you're expecting, because trust me, if you follow everything that I'm gonna say, there is no way you're not gonna get faster at drawing. By the way, I'm Matt. I drew a whole 80 pages fully illustrated fantasy art book in only 3 months, and I couldn't do any of this if I didn't apply all the tricks that I'm about to say in this video. So let's go. The single best piece of advice that I can give you is to do time practice. Now, I'm about to tell you how to do it in just a second, step by step, but first you have to understand why to do it. By the way, this is not a magic trick, but if you're really serious with your art, you better listen. If you teach your brain to draw in a limited amount of time, your hand and your mind are definitely gonna get used to draw faster. And this will definitely happen in your final pieces too. You have to see this as a proper training. It's like running. How can you get faster at running if you don't run every day? I have good news though. You're gonna make progress really fast. You're gonna see improvements even after your first or second session, so don't worry about that, just start. I say this because many won't do this because it's boring and repetitive, but I hope I have convinced you so far, so let's see how to do it. So what you have to do is to pick a time of your day, for example, before work or after school, whatever. Just a time that you know you're gonna have free on your day. This is gonna be your training time. Then you open this website that I'm showing right now, that is called Quick Poses. Then you choose the limited time pose version that I'm showing right now, and here is where you have to pick the models and the time. Now I choose all for everything, and the time I usually put 60 seconds, but you can put 90 seconds or even more for the first times because it's gonna be hard. And then you start sketching in the way that you see in the video. You have to use quick and fast, no scratchy lines, and try and complete the mannequin of the pose in that limited amount of time. What I would suggest you is to do it for something like 10 to 30 minutes a day, and after you get the habit, you can increase the time to get even better results. If you only did this one thing and nothing else from this video, you will definitely start drawing faster even after a few sessions. So if you have to take something from this video, it's gotta be this one. By the way, good job if you're still here, because you went through the boring tip that I just gave you, and this means that you're serious about your art and you're ready to apply the practical advice. So you might as well start following me so you can get value like this every single week. Now we can finally get to our final piece. Now before starting, try and visualize how long that is gonna take. I'll tell you what I did for my drawing, the one that you're seeing right now. I tried and estimate how long this drawing was gonna take, and I thought that it would take something like 4 or 5 hours max. What I did was then put a timer, but not a 5-hour timer, but a half the time, and put something like a 2.5 hour time, and promised to myself that I was gonna finish the entire drawing in that amount of time. Now this is kinda crazy because finishing a whole illustration in 2.5 hours is gonna lose a little bit of quality, and this is what you might think. But setting a timer that is shorter is gonna help your brain to remove useless details from your illustration that nobody's gonna see, and it's gonna make your brain do some faster choices instead of spending random time on random things. Now I didn't manage to finish the whole illustration in 2.5 hours, but it only took me 3 hours, and that's still a great result because what I estimated was 5 hours, and I would say that 3 hours is much better. If you think this is stupid, try it for yourself and let me know. By the way, this is not bro science or something that I'm making up, because this is an actual law called Parkinson's law that says that your brain is gonna do a job in the time that it has left. For example, if you have to do a job due in 3 hours, you're most likely gonna finish in 3 hours, or something more, something less. But if you don't give yourself a time, the task is gonna take so much longer. So set a timer and follow it as best as you can during your drawing process. Now this one is gonna be hard for a lot of you because it was for me. Problem that many of us artists have is that we are great brain rotter. We consume content, watch reels, watch movies, watch series, even while we draw. And this is not bad by any means, but this is not optimal at all if you wanna speed up your process. Like any other perfectionist, if you wanna get faster results in your work, you have to do it in a deep work focused state of mind, in the zone like many likes to say, and not in a shallow work where you kinda work and then watch the series and then stop to scroll. Of course, feel free to put some music on or a podcast on. There is nothing wrong with that as long as it's just audio playing in your ears. But if you start putting a movie Or I saw some people scrolling while drawing, bro. Like, how damn bad do you have to be? Like, drawing is fun. Try and remember that. So the actionable step here is to get your space clean. Pick the time, like we said, where you're gonna study or do the work. Set the timer and do some deep work. Head down, focused. You can put some music. You can put a podcast, as long as it's a long form video, so you don't have to change or choose which one to see next. So your workflow is gonna be so much more productive. Trust me. Please trust someone that has been through this, someone that had this addiction and couldn't get out of it. If in your life drawing is one of the most entertaining things that you can do, you will do it so much more. But if you have some replacements like scrolling or watching videos or some useless stuff that bring you nowhere, obvious that you're gonna draw slower. Of course, in the actual drawing process, there are a few things that you can do to speed up your process. The most time that I used to spend on my project was on the sketching phase, because it's the phase where you have nothing on your canvas. In the sketching phase, many of my lines were insecure, and I used to do the whole illustration in the sketch itself, just to erase it a little after and replace it with the line art. So you can agree with me that this is all useless work. So the actionable step here is to spend less time on the sketching phase, just doing the basic shapes, the basic forms that are gonna help you draw better on the line art. What a lot of beginners think is that they are not good enough to do a fast sketch and then proceed with the line art. And I have to say two things about it. One, you will be surprised on how good you're gonna be just by doing a couple of lines on the sketch and going directly with the line art. And the second thing, if you're really struggling, you can do this exercise. When you're studying, don't use the pencil at all. And what I mean is literally put the pencil away and start drawing with your fine liner, brush pen, or a brush or whatever you want to use. And the most important step here is to ignore the first sketches of shame. They're gonna be so ugly because your brain is used to use the pencil. You're gonna be surprised on how good you're gonna be even without using your pencil. If you do all of this, there is no way you're not gonna get faster at drawing. You often don't realize how slow you are. I have drawings of mine of a couple of years ago where I wrote the time it took me just to do the sketch, and it was something like 1 or 2 hours. And it was normal at the time for me, but now seeing it makes me think how slow I was and how much improvement there was. Now I hope this was helpful. Consider following me if you're serious about your art, and see you in the next one.